In this tutorial, we're going to go through how to create and add a natal chart in Prometheus. This is the natal chart dialog. It can be brought up by pressing the new natal chart button, and it's how a natal chart is added into the current session. The first thing to do is to enter the name, the native or event name. The next thing is to select which kind of natal chart it is. There are a whole bunch of choices here, but the right one in this case is female natal. Then the date is entered, so we'll start with first. The time is entered here, and the difference between minutes and hours and seconds is a colon is used. Sorry. AM and PM may be specified if necessary, or the 24-hour clock can be used. Calendar here is either automatic, Gregorian or Julian. Gregorian or Julian is for dates several hundred years ago. In many countries, at a certain point in time, the calendar was switched from Julian to Gregorian, and if automatic is chosen, then the most common date when that happened, the calendar will automatically switch, and the one that's been chosen will be here. If it has to be specified manually, then it can be. First and second is for the rare case when the time goes back due to daylight savings. And then there are two instances of a given time, the first and the second instance, and it can be chosen which of the two. Now just loads the current moment in time. The place must be selected from the atlas, so the easiest way to do that is just to type the name of the place in and then click find in atlas. And here we're going to choose Los Angeles, California, USA, and the longitude and latitude have been loaded. It's worthwhile noting that the Prometheus Atlas only uses the longitude and latitude, and it uses a system based upon polygons, not upon the actual place itself. So even if the place isn't in the atlas, if you know the longitude and latitude of it, then the automatic time zone system, an atlas lookup, will work in Prometheus. Although there are millions of places, it's very rare. But I don't think that actually happens, especially for North America. Every place pretty much under the sun is in there. When it comes to time zone, it is also possible to manually change it. That isn't needed in this case, but I will go through that anyway, just to let you see it. So time zone here has been brought up, and there are 4 different options. And the most common one is use automatic time zone in daylight. That just means that the atlas system will be looked up for the time zone and the time to calculate the correct time zone in daylight. Use a different places automatic time zone in daylight is for rare events such as in polar or regions or events that happen at sea, where often the ship will be on the time zone of the last place left, or it can be doing that. So also for polar regions and so on, that can be a useful thing. And in a different place which can be found in the atlas, it will use the time zone for that place rather than for the place specified. For local mean time, again, before standardized time zones were introduced, so 200 years ago and before, local mean time was used, which used the time at the current geographical location. So the 12 o'clock noon was at the time when the sun transited the midheaven. And use specified time zone in daylight allows the time zone in the daylight to be manually specified, and it's just a numerical offset there. But by the most often the used setting is use automatic time zone in daylight, and 99.9% of the time that will give the correct chart, because the atlas is very comprehensive. Rodden rating is how accurate the birth time is, which can be specified here, and any comments about the chart also can be entered. We now come to the astrology options. These will be loaded based upon what the default natal chart profile is in your astrology settings. So here we just have the standard modern natal settings that come with Prometheus. Zodiac can be changed by pressing here, and there are 4 different zodiac types. Tropical, which is a zodiac that's most commonly used in Western astrology, in which the vernal equinox is defined as the point in which the celestial equator and the ecliptic meet. The draconic takes the moon's north node as the fiducial point and is used as 0 Aries. For sidereal, there is an attempt to align the zodiac with the actual constellations in the sky, and there are various interpretations as to how to do that, and many authors have specified their opinions, and there are quite a few different options here. There is one special one, which is Jai 2000, which is more an astronomical one, and that's makes the 0 Aries point equal to the same place in the sky that it was in the 1st of January year 2000, and that can be useful if you want to get information from Prometheus that's of more astronomical nature. If you want to aim a telescope or otherwise, that can be a very useful one for that. And also, if you want to measure the precession of an object or whatever, then that would be used. But that's a special one. But the rest are all astrological ones that are useful to different schools of thought. The last 3 actually fix the Ayanamsha to a given star, so that's either the 15-degree Taurus to Aldebaran, 0-degree Libra to Spica, or 0 Sag to the galactic center. And the last one is custom. So many weird and wonderful zodiacs can be created here. You could put the sun at 0-degree Aries. You could put a moon or an asteroid or any star or point at any point in the zodiac and create a custom zodiac that way. So you just choose the point and the position. So there are many different options for zodiac, and that whenever zodiac is able to be specified in Prometheus, these options will exist. The next thing is house system, of which there are quite a lot in Prometheus. Placidus is the one that's very commonly used in the Western astrology, and there are a lot of advantages to the Placidus system. I'm not going to go into that. Everyone has their own, every astrologer has their own opinion as to which house system is correct and why, so I don't place judgment on that. But the default for modern natal is Placidus, and that can be changed in astrology settings also. Coordinate system, there are 3 options here: geocentric, topocentric, and heliocentric. In the geocentric coordinate system, it's what many people are used to. It gives the position of each planet from the point of view of a theoretical observer at the center of the Earth. So for instance, the position of the moon especially is strongly affected by this, and some of the inner planets are affected in the minute of arc range from the geocentric to the topocentric position. Topocentric means that the observer is actually placed on the Earth itself, on the surface of the Earth, at the observer's coordinates, rather than at the center of the Earth. And in other astrological programs, if you use them, there's usually settings such as apply parallax correction to the moon, and so on, and that does the same thing as the topocentric coordinate system in Prometheus does, but it's a more globally applied system, so it applies to every planet, and some of the other planets, such as I believe Mercury and Venus, can be affected in the up to certainly in the second of arc range, and possibly even in the minute of arc range by the difference between the observer at the centre of the Earth and the observer at the actual place. However, for the Moon, then that variance can be more than a degree. It can be quite a significant variance. So that's the difference between geocentric and topocentric. Heliocentric puts the position of the observer at the centre of the Sun, and heliocentric astrology has its own school of thought and is especially useful, I believe, in financial astrology. I don't profess to be an expert in it or to explain it, but if you want to have the position of all the planets from the heliocentric position in the coordinate system, should be set to heliocentric. It's also worth noting that the Earth itself can then become a point on the chart if it's set to heliocentric. We'll just switch it back. And again, lunar nodes can either be true or mean nodes. As the Moon moves around the Earth, it wobbles slightly in its orbit, and that can cause the position at which the orbit of the Moon intersects with the orbit of the ecliptic to vary slightly as time goes on. And if you ever see a graph of the North Node and it's a true node, you'll see it oscillating a lot. It varies a lot. And if true nodes are selected for lunar nodes, then it's the actual instantaneous node of the Moon at the given point in time that is chosen as the lunar node. For mean nodes, then a smoothing algorithm is applied to the lunar node position, so it doesn't vary as much, and it's always retrograde and it never becomes prograde with mean nodes. And you need to know which of the two it is that you want for how you do astrology. Rulerships, again, there are several rulership types that are set up and can be loaded, and they're referenced here. We have modern, in which the outer planets from Uranus, Neptune and Pluto are then part of the rulership scheme. And traditional, it's the planets up to Saturn, and there are various ones that can be customized based upon the opinions of other astrologers, and it is a fully customizable system. I know that there are many schools, especially in Europe, that have different opinions about planetary rulerships and exaltation degrees, and it's fully customizable and configurable. So we'll just press OK, and we'll bring the natal chart up, and here it is. It's been added to the session here. It can then be processed further, viewed, saved, retained, and so on. So thank you for watching.